Hi everybody, and thank you for being with me one more month. And to the newbies, welcome. Hopefully we're going to be friends for a long time. Just really quick news that I want to share with you is that a couple of weeks ago the channel hit 3 million views, and it is a big milestone, and I really love it, and it's really encouraging me to continue, as I don't like to cut corners, and I really want to give you the best possible reading, so you kind of like can get an idea, if I only focus on your own energy, how that's going to look like. Just like the one today, monthlies are more kind of like extensive, so kind of like buckle up, right? I like to do it properly. Shorter version, this might be a long version on YouTube. Some people like long. Short version is much easier for any reader. You just like snap them up, but that to me looks like cutting corners, right? And plus we're going through Mercury retrograde. I'm still expecting a whole bunch of stuff to go wrong. Also, Instagram started their own TV, IGTV, and I'll try to place short version with a twist on Instagram. So if you are social media kind of like fan, if you like to maybe do different things and different aspects, you know how the reading gives you something initially, you might not even resonate, but then you come back a week later and say, wow, actually this happened. Because this is sort of like projecting your own energies to me. I'm simply mirroring back to what I'm feeling. So let's start with kind of like the general kind of card for all the signs for the Cancer period. And happy birthday, Cancer. I love the sign of Cancer. It's like so nice and gentle, and really like for somebody who is like air, we need water friends around. So kind of like very conveniently, the kitty cat jumped out as a kind of overall energy. So look at that. Is there any card like that can actually describe being on top of the world right now? Sort of like celebration of success, right? And of course it is celebration with cat. So you're kind of probably jointly feeling that there is like some kind of change happening. Maybe we are all of a sudden willing to accept challenges of life or changes, and this is kind of like talking about probably enjoying a wonderful ride on the tiger of success. So we need to welcome it, we need to enjoy it, and most importantly we really need to share our joy with others. And remember, sort of like that every parade does have beginning but also has an end. So keep that in mind, and squeeze anything you can. That means like you're not staying at home and just mulling it over. You kind of like are supposed to kind of like let others kind of rub off on your kind of like feeling of kind of being in the zone. So keep in mind that kind of it's really good to kind of like ride a tiger, and this all shall pass. And this kind of is card teaching us that we need to enjoy these special moments in life, no matter how short they are and no matter how elusive they are, but they will be here this month. So how about we start? Hi Aries, and welcome to your July 2018 forecast. So let's start. Really amazing. There is like an essence of waiting, of a waiting period. You have soulmate, you have two of wands, and you have childhood. Well, first of all, it looks like, look, you have another two over here. There is like some essence of indecision. Maybe you have kind of like progressed in something to some kind of like level, but you're waiting how to kind of like move that further. I am not so sure if the soulmate is somebody from your past, because after all, you're having childhood and innocence, or if the soulmate is someone you are kind of a feeling that you can be completely free and kind of like completely kind of like unconstrained. I mean, both of them kind of like have certain kind of advantages. That look at here, we have like these two kids playing, and there is like something completely innocent. This is even before we learn to lie, or that consider that somebody might lie to us. You don't see a child very young like, oh, you lie. You kind of like don't even have to take this filter, and then something happens. Oh my gosh, look at this. As I'm turning this to light, almost like is hologram going over here. And beautiful replica. There is like this ray of sun that is kind of like propping this little girl to kind of like really embrace it. Look at that, both of them looking. And if you really look closer, they do have this like water and wand symbol, so they are standing on the ground. This is like, and there is like the spirit, the swords coming through it. So there is like sort of like embracing life, really. It is kind of like exploration of the world, or maybe your exploration of someone in your life. And of course, it looks like it's a kind of like really good state where no one can do anything wrong. But keep in mind that, you know, this is not permanent, as kind of like at some point it's inevitable that children are going to kind of lose that innocence, and so will you about this person. But there's like not necessarily kind of like permanent loss, right? Because we don't really have to live, this is what is teaching us, in any kind of like fear of anticipation that something is going to happen, right? Nor do we really have to continuously start reconciling the losses, you know, and kind of continuously kind of be in the state of purity. This, however, is telling me that we are approaching Mercury retrograde, and there is like this romanticizing the past and missing out the present. So that's kind of like probably what we are kind of like coming here to. It's the light here that is kind of guiding us through any dark passage that is currently residing in our life. So just keep in mind that innocence is a quality that children have naturally, and it is a quality that we need to acquire when we become adults, right? This is not a lack of guilt or lack of shame. Like, innocence is kind of very good quality in itself, where you kind of like really need to challenge our personality and character, because we had a whole bunch of experiences throughout our life that have shaped us, and we got jaded, we got very kind of suspicious of people's motives, right? But yet when this card shows up, it says that in spite of all of this, there is a core of innocence that you can possibly reawaken by releasing any shame that has covered over the truth of who you are. So take any opportunities to heal that shame, that regret, that, you know, loss. And, you know, we usually blame on the others. And this is telling you, no, Aries, you're not a victim. Kind of like ramp up. Remember, we just had this like Six of Wands, that huge gorgeous celebration, that big tiger that was riding, you know, and it was a success, and, you know, all this confetti. So celebrate this. It's kind of like a really biggie to be able to kind of like really go in this direction. So let's see what else I have over here for you. So we have getting to know each other, worth waiting for, make the effort, heart-to-heart conversations, flirt, honeymoon, give your relationship a chance, separation, let go of control issues, and children. Let's leave this here and this one here. So let me pair it with tarot, and we shall start. Okay, guys. In the past, you have heart-to-heart conversation. Like sort of karma required you that you discuss with each other what is bothering you, what is going on. Kind of like different approaches to it, because you have here Six of Swords. It does talk about travel, and this travel can be metaphorical travel, kind of passage into something that you hope is better. It's kind of like for a moment somebody is just trying to forget. You see how she's like turning back, looking back in kind of like shock, in maybe even fear. But also ahead of her are all the swords, meaning, you know, there will be challenges ahead. Now, when this kind of like reverses, looks like, you know, maybe there was intention of kind of like walking away from something, but it kind of like got to the point, wait a minute, maybe I need to reach a closure. Maybe I kind of like need to go in a new direction, but I really need to do this first. So you also have Knight of Chalices, and then you have King of Swords reversed. So what's basically looks like here happening for some of you, that there was intention to leave, or somebody wanted to leave, and then it was, heck, I'm going to give it one more try. And it was, okay, so let's express this love, let's see where this is going. But it looks like it didn't go very far. It could have been met with something even maybe brutal. It kind of like felt harsh, that rejection from the above. But you have to keep remembering that in your reading today, it's going to be really different. That rejection is actually this light that is coming through. I think there is a saying rejection is God's protection, and this is definitely affirmative here today. So let's see here, like then, you know, you actually didn't make an effort anymore. It was, okay, you know what, you want this, or maybe that was your decision, and that was it, you know, lost your enthusiasm, maybe lost your impulsiveness. You have this Page of Wands reversed, and Four of Swords, and High Priestess reversed. So what's happening here is maybe just like you needed a break. You needed to stabilize yourself. You kind of like, yeah, you got really stunned with the situation. And talking about this innocence, you see how, as I was saying, you need to kind of like reactivate. You need to find that button inside of you and push it, because the High Priestess is the one who's saying, no, 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 kind of like stay away from me. High Priestess is somebody who is learning good and bad all on her skin, and she is filtering other people just based on those kind of like empirical kind of like findings. When kind of like this is reversing, it's kind of like huge lethargy and almost like unwillingness to join life. Furthermore, like we have more fours, right? We have a 4, we have 4, and we have 4. So 4 is actually your number over here in tarot, because you're actually even coming out here. You see the Aries? It says getting to know each other, and then you have this 4 of Cups, and then you have worth waiting for, and then you're coming out over here. So let's kind of like open this one at a time. Getting to know each other, and yet, you know, there's like, look at this kitty, look at those eyes, look at this. It's just like, oh, just leave me alone. I just cannot take it, right? There are like quite a few things going on for you here, but even something special right now. Look at this, even delivered on a turtle, and it's kind of looking at it, okay, you must be kidding me, right? Why do I need to go through it? It is really showing that state when we kind of like feel depressed, when we feel, you know, that really nothing can make us happy. So what else do we have here? Queen of Pentacles and 6 of Wands reversed. Okay, this is the second 6, because I have a feeling that, well, this is already soulmate. So you're having a soulmate card, and 2 6s are soulmate. I just really wanted to see, you know, what type of a lesson it is. So what is this basically saying is, there is like, I mean, time to start moving forward. Queen of Pentacles is always talking about, okay, you know what, just like focus on normal things, sort of like pack your lunch, get up in the morning, make sure you do your stretches, you know, kind of like slow and steady wins the race kind of a thing. the truth is, you need to kind of pull yourself out. You know, this is kind of like your energy. You know, like I'm seeing the sixes. It's kind of coming back to something, wondering why certain things didn't work out, because that's the victory card. It's exactly the same card we had in the beginning. For you, it's coming reversed. It's saying that you're actually not seeing silver lining in the situation. And, or maybe you're feeling that somebody else won. In either way, this kind of like is the wrong road to travel, because in love there's no such thing. So okay, they moved on and and I'm here suffering. No, it doesn't make them feel any better. It just like means that at this time, you know, they have absorbed this lesson faster. So just because you finished, you know, a homework in grade 2 faster than another student doesn't mean that you're going to be a loser in life. It just is. And it's a learning experience. It's a learning exercise saying, okay, so what have they been doing prior to this? They have been preparing for this moment. And now they can just like sail through it. But it's also telling you that just like with applying some really basic principles, such as I told you, kind of like organize yourself to what is left and what is right, and kind of engage with the work. So some of you are deciding to stay unstable. Some of you are saying, you know what, like this kind of like turned my world upside down. Maybe you feel that somebody else kind of control the situation, and this is kind of bothering more than anything. I really don't like when your card in your reading comes reversed. It's kind of like suggesting to me that there is brewing anger in it. So let's see, what else do we get here? 10 of Swords and 3 of Cups. Okay. Yes, it is anger. And it is good anger in your case. You know, anger can be good. And as a therapist, I have to tell you that some of my clients, sometimes they're just like moping around in bed. It is kind of like really hard to get them to do anything. Oh, no, Kat, I can't. You don't understand. I'm so mopey. I just want to be left alone. Sure, really. Do you really enjoying? Like now you're victimizing yourself. Sure, they victimize you, but now you're doing it to yourself. You know, so it's no longer a method that you can blame it on somebody else. So how can you kind of like re-engage? You can re-engage by realizing, really, look at the facts in the eye, what happened. And what happened was that you kind of like got into the situation that you really didn't see somebody just like pricking you. Maybe you had those situations that you were dealing with somebody, yes, but, yes, maybe, you know, no, I'm not so sure, kind of a thing. Maybe you have been dealing with somebody who is continuously devil's advocate, right? You say something, you know, you go on a date, and I remember one of my dates was something like that. You go on a date with a fellow and just tell him, oh, you have cats. Ugh, you have cats. I hate them. But right away, whether he's doing it consciously or subconsciously, he doesn't like me. Or, and in this particular case, this guy wanted to have a second date with me. I said, no, sorry, I'm kind of a package deal. And that's kind of like over here with that Queen of Pentacles. This also kind of talks about package deal. Look, you know, I am this way. Also, guys, you generally are not homebodies, but I really feel it's going to be lots of this going on in this month. Spending time with family, kind of trying to reestablish kind of like your kind of lay of the land. And it could be also spending some time with your folks and kind of like maybe even going back and talking about, you know, the past times. And that might actually find, you know, the button is easy to push, but we need to find that button first. And so that these kind of stories can really maybe help you, because you're pulling all the swords out, every single thing. Maybe you're mulling it over in your head. Oh my gosh, all of this happened. But check this out. This card also shows that the day is arriving and there is like this lucky star happening. So the worst is over. And that's what I'm saying. In your case, anger is really good, because when my clients get to the stage from moping to I just don't care, oh my gosh, what could it happen? This is like so close for being over and being kind of done with. Because look at this here. There are friends that you have, and that's more than most people have. You kind of like need to realize that first and foremost, you need to be a friend to yourself. And also that obviously you're getting that love reflected back to you, that you kind of like have it, and also that somebody is possibly worth waiting for, and this soulmate that you have been with maybe just has been a stepping stone to something that is yet to come. So I do see here a little bit defeating attitude for the rest of the cards, but anyway, let's go. What is crowning you? Hey, flirting. Maybe some of you really want to quickly jump in the fry and kind of, you know, I can do it. And especially if you're male, like, guys tend to really quickly try to justify themselves by, you know, by immediately getting involved, and this is kind of like showing the other person I moved on, or even showing to yourself. And this kind of card tells me that you really need to maybe spend some time, and flirting is good as long as you just like don't kind of like keep putting those hooks deeper. I guess it's going to be some kissing on the dates, right? So Nine of Pentacles reversed is really talking about somebody who is desperately unwilling to spend some time alone and really enjoy where you are and what you already have. And I guess this is because, again, rejection is God's protection. We're seeing it again. You see, again, moping around. Whoa, Aries, something really happened. And there you go. Again, you're getting all the signs from the above, if you wish. You're spending lots of time in your head, and this is a little bit higher energy than fire energy. And of course, this is kind of like making you exhausted. This card is probably, especially this combination, you have like this 3 combo, not good, right? And even this one. Look at the swords. Sword, 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 sword. And I told you, in this particular period, in spite of all this quote-unquote bad swords, they're actually here to protect you. So see, these 2 swords look kind of like very unsightly, right? This one here is a pretty bad card. It really talks about sleeping on a switch, and this is where we go, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And it's almost like we are backtracking in the past. Oh, if I just didn't do that, or if I just said that, or what else could have. It's almost like it's starting to go in the process of self-blame. But when this kind of reverses, it's coming to that conclusion. It's kind of like reaching that natural ending. You're seeing the candle dying, and at one point it just like stops. You know how people say, well, energy never dies. Yes, it does die. You can see it in example of a candle. It just like live its life. It's done. It doesn't have some extra energy. It was releasing the energy all along during the process. So this is like something that you really need to think through, because every moment that you are spending down is the moment that you're not giving to yourself. So one thing is like if another person injures you, and another if you are injuring yourself, because there is like still this essence of what could have been. But for some of you, well, this card actually has really dual meaning. It could mean really bad suffering. It could mean really, all is over, I just can't get up, I can't recover, I'm kind of like sad and distressed in the situation. But this card can also mean, okay, finally everything is over, you know, let me just face myself, what it is and where I'm going. You have lots of 5s and you have lots of 7s. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you guys. It's going to be kind of like buckle up month. It might be like, I mean, rough road ahead. But this kind of means, again, meaning to open up to possibilities. It's like kind of that space of uncertainty. So the certainty that you have just encountered is like, oh my God, I'm horrified. And maybe there is like a fear of what is coming up in the future. But that's why 5 and 7s are always opening new doors, or 5s are more or less opening kind of like things inside, and 7s on the outside, right? And yeah, you know, it's kind of like strange. It can kind of go both ways. For some of you, it might mean that somebody's coming back, and there are like new possibilities, and maybe this is going to the next stage. It could have been one of those ultimatums that you have given to someone, and that ultimatum was, you do this, you put a ring on the finger, or else, right? And they took or else option. And maybe they have been thinking through right now, and they said, okay, this hasn't been really well put. It kind of really rubbed me the wrong way, because I was not given my own kind of like ability to kind of like walk through this process on my own time. But I'm seeing that this person really needs that in order to feel loved. So now it's maybe a possibility of them realizing, you know, that, you know, sometimes words are just frustration, and kind of like we need to move forward. So there is like talking about, also maybe somebody's coming back to you that you kind of like really don't really want, and the reason why you don't want is like, hello, like all this pain, all this closure, something has been going on. This actually could even be as strong as divorce, because the King of Swords can actually represent the Judge. This is saying give your relationship a chance, but looks like this is going to be moving with snail pace. Knight of Pentacles is really, really slow, especially when it's reversed. This also kind of like tells me sort of like there is a friend zone. It's kind of like, okay, wait a minute, let's kind of take a step back and see kind of like where this is going without pushing it. And there you go. There is like this Nine of Cups. It is emotional fulfillment. So it's going to be maybe be a gratification that, hey, wait a minute, I didn't sink, I'm still swimming. This is kind of like a really good card. It's, you know, really when you're treating yourself with that ice cream, you're sitting somewhere on a nice patio, a sun is kind of like beaming, and you're just completely comfortable. It's just like that complete kind of like peace. That's what it is. But this is also a card that is saying you need to kind of like prove something to me. You need to kind of come to me, right? And there is like still that kind of like standing still thing. It might be also that you're just conceptualizing in your head if you really want to move it forward, or somebody is. Because the Hangman is always talking about that some kind of sacrifice needs to be made. So yeah, maybe you don't want to be a bachelor anymore, or, you know, maybe, you know, you just now have to figure out, well, you'll be sharing the bathroom all the time. So these sacrifices generally are, it's one person is going through the process of saying, okay, I'm really connecting. This is connecting with someone. Don't get it wrong. Because why would somebody put themselves in this position? This is really relating to your card, the Emperor, because that has been upside down, uprooted. Maybe some of your attitudes that you had are now revisiting, and maybe you're seeing how damaging they are, or you're even seeing, you know, what you felt it was something damaging coming from the other party is actually looking differently from than their standpoint. I'll give you an example of a client I had. He kind of like is in late 50s, but he's still suffering through a thing that he suffered in his childhood, and that's why I'm mentioning, because that's kind of like is connecting over here. And what happened was that he had this kind of like mutt doggy, and that he really, really loved. But his family was very, very poor when he was growing up, him being like actually extremely successful today. And his mother got divorced, so she was self-supporting, and she was just a factory worker and had to work extra shifts just in order to put food on the table. And they lived in, and you probably can't imagine, a family of 3, so him, his mother and grandmother, in 200 square feet, and no water, no electricity, because the bills were not paid, so everything had to be borrowed from a neighbor. So for him, that dog was, oh, other kids will not laugh at me, I'll be big and powerful, right? But then when mother said, look, you know what, I can get you a bigger dog, a German Shepherd, right? So all of a sudden he started to think, oh, this is kind of like great, but he loved his little kind of like a dog. The name was Bear. And Mom said, look, we are going to put Bear with these people who have this like big farm, and Bear is going to be more happy than in this small place, right? And that's exactly what happened. He decided to give up the bear, but the new dog never arrived. Because the true story was, which he just couldn't resolve because he feels guilt both over giving up the doggy and hate toward his mother for making him do that. The truth is that he made that decision. And for sure, probably they would take the dog anyway, right? But you see, the thing was not understanding from the child's point that this parent was struggling. Probably she would be thrown out of even that little place if the dog, because the dog was barking. So finally, when he started seeing things from that different example, he broke up in tears. He said, oh my God, I didn't even think that my mother was so barely coping. All I could think still as a grown man, me. So you see, this is kind of like that stage when we are shedding these things that could be complete nonsense, but for some reason we are adhering to them. And on the outside, there is still separation. I'm still seeing sort of like, okay, you know what? I have to explore. I have to go. So it looks like to me a really stagnation. You are really mulling it over if you really want to go back into something. But looks like they kind of like are kind of going through that sense of that you are not coming back to the table. So the Eight of Cups is generally kind of like walking away. Knave of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So here is this karma stepping in. You see, they might probably see you as the one who walked away, but they actually still want to also express their love. There is like still this kind of like innocence also on their part, but they kind of like feel maybe there is something that cannot be turned around, because we have again this kind of thing. Wheel of Fortune actually means that they feel that, you know, they receive what was coming to them. It kind of looks like it was something really unfortunate. Maybe it was like this backstabbing, maybe it was like something that was harsh, and you know, somebody just says no way Jose, kind of a thing. So where are we going with this? Let go of control. And there is like this Seven of Pentacles reversed, which means, okay, you know what, I just don't care. You are not the tree. I wanted the tree. Why am I getting a shrub? Yes, sure, I love it, but it's not what it is. So it's kind of like giving up a care about some kind of like thing, and which is kind of good. It's like leaving that edge, leaving that, oh, I just like want this dog and my bad mother, right? And I was just like really thinking as I was doing that, how come the devil didn't show up? I should just tell them, at least there is no codependency. And wow, bam. There is a third six. 15, 1 and 5 is 6. So it is really karmic what you're going through. And that's kind of like why it feels so harsh. That's why you're mulling it over in your head. And you are right. It's kind of like going back to a bad situation is not a solution. The things need to be really, really repaired. This is really talking about somebody who, it could be a third party, usually to me that talks about exes pulling the strings behind in the background. This also tells me that sometimes there's a situation when somebody is appearing candid, appearing like, right, that's that innocence probably that has been lost, appearing that, hey, you know, I really want to go in this direction with you. They're making steps. For example, somebody's, let's say, divorcing, and you know, kind of like, nah, I don't want to get involved. This is your situation. You need to kind of resolve it on your own. But emotions are there, so it's starting to feel that you have a dog in that fight, right? And this person is really maybe at the time thinking, I'm going to do that. But then the reality steps in. It's not easy. There are children. There's family. It's like kind of like these cords, like these chains. Yeah, sure, you can overthrow them, but they're still there. And we tend to control when things start to happen, right? We tend to feel harsh grip on reality and almost like I need to win because I see this. But you have to understand that there is like the other side in a story, and that everybody has their own stuff, and it is what it is. That's why I always say, do not date married people. Don't even date separated people. I don't care if they're separate 2 years or 7 years. The truth is that these chains are still there. The leash is still there. And there's like trees, like you're getting all these trees which are suggestions that, hey, you know what, like, I mean, this really is a solution for team building. Maybe you have to figure out, well, there is a novel thought to do something that you haven't done previously, to kind of like try to get engaged in a situation where maybe this is already kind of like done with, over with, but you are kind of realizing, okay, I can really hate this person. I can really kind of like build these big walls, right? But maybe I can, maybe if you have kids, for the kids' sake, if not for anybody else's sake, how about for me? Not to hate this person anymore, and actually see, maybe this is children sharing, this is kind of child support, or maybe you're really starting to see, well, wait a minute, this person really needs help, and this person has no one, and that's why this person is lashing out. Or maybe this is you, right? Either way, kind of like there is this essence, okay, like let's try to build it. But again, don't fall for it, I'll build it, because there is like a second card. You're getting, everybody who was getting in this period, like this 10 of swords, which kind of like said something good is going to come out of it. There is like the silver lining. Also got the second card with this, I know, like I'm kind of like in my own space. I'm just like so impressed with myself, but I'm not seeing that I'm kind of devastating everything around. So you need to check this 180, you need to check this 360, and keep thinking, what have I seen? What were kind of like some conclusions that I had? So this Five of Swords is always about winning over where everybody else loses, but it's kind of like you are just doing that in the moment because you had this like Six of Wands, like this two kind of winning card. This, guys, is the control you need to drop. Children can mean literally your children. Maybe for the sake of the children, you think you're doing that for them. The truth is, they're just part of that puzzle. There is like that partner that could be your future partners. If this is not repaired and this lies down on your shoulders, it's going to be distributed to the other people who will actually end up suffering. If you don't have children, this really talks that you really need to, again, address this inner child. Look at that, message is coming through so strongly. This inner child is something, that little dog that you didn't get. It's understanding, well, I'm not a child anymore, and now I can actually change things. I am not the victim. I can just like come in, get up, lift off, and actually get somewhere. The Judgment, the second karma card, and the Eight of Pentacles. So you'll be spending this month lots of time thinking about things, lots of time. You will be kind of like pulling things from the past, and yes, it's a Mercury retrograde coming up, and you will specifically start thinking about things that did not sit right, things that have been maybe damaging, or things that maybe even you got wrong, but you maybe wronged someone else, and it's like that knee-jerk reaction, and you're going to start rebuilding this. It's really good to see these two cards together. That's why kind of like the underlying energy was some kind of like partial success, because you see, he has this one wand bolted in the wall. The second one is loose. So which one is he going to get? So sort of like there is like that decisions kind of a thing. So Aries, I have pulled one more card for you to seal this reading, and I have received Stormfields. It's reversed. So this is what it says. Now it's not a time to engage in any activity that brings unwanted chaos or drama into your life. Oh yes, this kind of storm can be destructive, and you'll regret your actions later. Hurtful words will be carried on the wind and bring a tornado of betrayal, anger, and unnecessary angst. Find shelter. This turbulent weather will pass, and your house will be untouched. So say no to drama. Wait till the storm blows over. Only then will you be heard. And that can be them, that can be you. You are kind of like in the stage 9, 10. You're trying to kind of pass by some kind of situation that kind of like is really leaning heavily on your heart. But I'm telling you guys, you really need to kind of go and revisit yourself. You need to find this button and push this button, because that is going to just like heal all these wounds that you have. It's not going to be a band-aid solution. It's going to be a permanent solution for everybody involved. So my dear Aries, this was your reading for July. If you want your private reading, please contact me. Check my website, cattarot.ca. And also, if you didn't check your annual Taroscope, it's now in the description. The 2019 will be able to be purchased somewhere in October. So, but you still can see much bigger picture than just like 1 month. And if you haven't touched that red button, subscribe over here, please click on it, because if you have traveled this long with me today, then hopefully we are going to travel together again, and that way you're going to be invited for my live and kind of contribute your energy to the reading. Thanks guys, thank you everybody for being here, and I hope you're still friends, and you know that I love you.